Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really interesting intersection: cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence. How do these two huge forces actually connect?
Yeah, it's a big question. Our goal here is to take the information you'd normally have to hunt down. We've got blog posts from OneSafe, Webflow, a detailed FS Insight analysis from Tom Couture dated April 16th, 2025, plus a Hacker Noon piece on blockchain philosophy.
Right, a whole stack of stuff.
Exactly. And boil it down, we want to extract the key insights so you, the learner, can get up to speed quickly.
And today's focus is Bittensor, or TAO. What is it? Is it, a viable crypto investment? And what does it mean for the bigger AI picture? That's the mission.
And we'll try to keep it conversational, not like a textbook reading.
Definitely. Because, AI is just exploding, isn't it? It's moving so fast.
It really is.
You see it everywhere: healthcare, education, even national security. The numbers are wild. Projected $1.76 trillion global market by 2030.
Wow.
Yeah, and back in 2024, already nearly 75% of companies were using AI somehow. So understanding this stuff feels pretty important.
Absolutely crucial. And Bittensor sits right at that crossroads. It's trying to bring that crypto decentralized ethos to AI development and access.
You might have seen the logo, that sort of stylized T in a circle.
That's the one. It represents this blend of AI and decentralization.
Okay, so let's dive in. What actually is Bittensor? Where did it come from?
Well, it's interesting. It drew inspiration directly from Bitcoin, launched in 2021.
Okay.
But here's the twist. Instead of rewarding miners for doing those complex SHA-256 calculations like Bitcoin.
Right, the proof of work stuff.
Exactly. Bittensor uses its own token, TAO, to incentivize, useful AI services, productive AI work.
Huh. So building a marketplace for intelligence, basically.
That's a great way to put it. A decentralized market for AI contributions. And it hasn't just stood still, it's evolved quite a bit.
How so?
A really big shift was the Revolution upgrade. That was October 2023.
Okay.
That fundamentally changed it from one general AI market into a whole network of specialized subnets. Think of them as mini markets, each focused on a specific AI task.
So not one giant company, but lots of smaller, focused teams.
Exactly, all operating under the same economic umbrella, using TAO.
That makes sense for specialization. The FS Insight report also mentioned something called dynamic TAO, or DTAO, around February 2025. What was that about?
Yeah, DTAO was important. It tackled potential issues around centralization creeping in and how to fairly judge the value coming from all these different subnets.
So fine-tuning the reward system.
Pretty much. Refining token distribution, governance, making the whole system more adaptive and resistant to being dominated by any single group.
Constant tweaking, seems like. Then there was EVM compatibility in late 2024. Why is that significant for people maybe not deep in the tech weeds?
Okay, so EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine. Making Bittensor compatible basically meant opening the doors to the huge number of developers and tools already in the Ethereum world.
Lowering the barrier to entry.
Exactly. Made it way easier for people to build on Bittensor, potentially moving it beyond just AI into a more general smart contract platform.
Gotcha. More accessible. Also saw a note about DCG launching Yuma around then. Does that connect?
It does, yeah. We'll circle back to Yuma when we talk components, but think of it as a key piece of the underlying infrastructure, helping everything run.
Okay, keeping that in mind. So Bittensor, evolving, decentralized, incentivizing AI. Let's get into the nuts and bolts. How does it actually work? What are the pieces?
Right, there are four main parts. First up is the Bittensor blockchain, sometimes called subtensor.
The core ledger.
Exactly. System of record. And the TAO token is crucial here. It's the reward for miners doing the AI work and validators checking that work. Performance within the subnets determines the payout.
Okay, blockchain foundation, TAO fuel. What's next?
Second, the subnets themselves. Like we said, these are specialized, incentive-driven markets.
Right, the mini markets.
Yeah, one might do image generation, another language processing, whatever. Each has miners producing the output and validators ensuring its quality.
And you mentioned there were quite a few already. By March 2025, 82 active subnets, which shows a lot of focused development happening.
82. Wow. Okay, so how does the network make sure the AI work is actually any good and decide who gets the TAO?
That brings us to number 3. Yuma consensus, or proof of intelligence.
Proof of intelligence, I like that.
It's the algorithm, basically, that scores miner and validator performance. That score dictates their TAO rewards. It's not just about doing something, it has to be high-quality AI work. The Webflow article sort of hints at this, how stake influences message priority, suggesting this value mechanism.
Quality control built in. Makes sense. And the fourth piece.
The Bittensor SDK, the software development kit.
Ah, the tools.
Yep. Open source tools, code libraries, documentation, everything developers, miners, and validators need to actually interact with the blockchain and the subnets. It's the toolkit for participation.
Okay, so those are the technical building blocks. Who are the actual players in this ecosystem?
Several key roles. You've got subnet creators. They're the ones designing the rules and incentive structures for their specific subnet.
Like the architects of their little AI economy.
Exactly. Then the miners. They're doing the actual AI work, generating inferences, providing compute power, training models, you name it. Better work, more potential rewards.
And the validators check the miners' work, right? I saw there's a minimum stake 1,000 TAO and a limit per subnet.
That's right. 1,000 TAO minimum stake, max 64 validators per subnet. It ensures they have skin in the game, incentivizes good validation, and prevents too much concentration.
Okay, who else?
Then you have stakers. These are TAO holders who don't want to run a validator themselves, but they can delegate their TAO to a validator they trust and earn a share of the rewards.
Supporting the network.
Yeah. And finally, the end users. The people or applications actually consuming the AI services produced by the subnets.
So a whole economy. How does an end user actually, use this, tap into that decentralized AI?
It's pretty neat. Validators often act as gateways. They can run APIs, application programming interfaces.
Like a digital doorway.
Exactly. Users can access these APIs, sometimes even paying with regular money, fiat currency, which makes it easy to adopt. And if a validator is active on multiple subnets, one single API could potentially give you access to a whole range of Bittensor's AI services.
Like a single access point to this diverse AI network.
That's the idea. And the FS Insight report really stresses how crucial the design of those incentives within each subnet is.
Right, motivating miners, preventing cheating.
All of that. They talk about a subnet enhancement cycle, this constant feedback loop where miners optimize their output for rewards and subnet owners tweak the rules in response. Sounds very competitive.
Definitely dynamic. Okay, let's switch gears to the TAO token itself, the tokenomics. What are the key details?
So total supply, 21 million TAO, just like Bitcoin.
Mimicking that scarcity model.
Deliberately. And it also has a halving schedule. The rate of new token creation gets cut in half periodically, roughly every 4 years. First one is expected around December 2025.
Okay, fixed supply, decreasing issuance. What did the market look like around April 2025, according to FS Insight?
At that point, the circulating market cap was about $1.7 billion. Fully diluted valuation, considering all 21 million tokens, was $4.3 billion, with TAO priced around $204.
And how much of the supply was actually out there?
Roughly 60% was still unissued. Of the circulating supply, about 8.5 million tokens, a huge chunk, 72% was staked.
72% stake, that's high. Suggests people are holding long term.
It definitely suggests strong community belief and commitment, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of confidence in the network's future.
How do new TAO tokens actually get into the system? Distributed.
It's a two-step process, injection and extraction. Daily, a set amount of TAO, plus another token called alpha, gets injected into each subnet's reserve or treasury.
Okay.
Now, how much TAO each subnet gets depends on the market price of its specific alpha token relative to all the others. Subnets seen as more valuable get a bigger injection.
So perceived value drives the distribution. What's this alpha token then?
Alpha tokens are unique to each subnet. When validators stake their TAO into a specific subnet's liquidity pool to support it, they receive that subnet's alpha tokens.
Okay.
The price of that alpha token reflects how much TAO is staked in that subnet. It's basically a market signal of how valuable the network thinks that subnet is.
Right.
And that alpha price then determines the subnet share of the next daily TAO injection. More TAO staked, higher alpha price, bigger share of new TAO.
Wow, okay. It's a self-regulating feedback loop based on market confidence. That's clever.
It's pretty sophisticated, yeah.
So what drives demand for the main TAO token itself? Why hold it?
Several things. Governance is one. Holding TAO might give you voting power on network decisions.
Makes sense.
Security, as we said, validators need to stake TAO.
The 1,000 minimum.
Right. And critically, accessing those alpha tokens, which signals subnet value, requires staking TAO. So TAO is really the base currency for all activity.
Got it. Let's pivot to the investment side. How's TAO done in the market? What's the FS Insight take?
Well, Their April 2025 analysis showed TAO significantly beating Ethereum since March 2023, up about 167% against ETH.
Wow.
But it lagged Bitcoin by around 26% over that same period. Still, it outperformed a basket of other well-known AO crypto tokens over the previous couple of years.
So strong relative performance in the AI crypto niche. And I saw Grayscale got involved.
Yeah, the Grayscale Bittensor Trust launched in June 2024. It gives accredited investors a way to get TAO price exposure through a traditional investment vehicle without holding the actual crypto.
Easier access for some investors. But the OneSafe blog mentioned risks too, right? Volatility, liquidity.
Absolutely. OneSafe highlighted the inherent volatility, which is standard for crypto, but also potential liquidity issues from maybe lower trading volumes sometimes. They pointed out specific price levels to watch for support. It's definitely not a risk-free investment.
No doubt. What specific risks did FS Insight flag?
They mentioned the ongoing TAO emissions potentially creating sell pressure. Big one is competition.
Yeah.
You've got massive, well-funded, centralized AI companies. That's serious competition. Also, the need for these individual subnets to actually figure out sustainable revenue models. They can't just rely on TAO emissions forever.
Right. They need real-world value and income streams.
And then, broader macro factors that affect all risk assets.
Standard investment risks. Okay, but despite those risks, what was FS Insight's positive case for TAO?
Their main thesis is that TAO solves a key problem: coordinating and monetizing open source AI development effectively.
Okay.
They believe demand for TAO will grow structurally as the ecosystem expands and builds more useful stuff. Plus, they see it as a unique way to get broad exposure to many different AI areas through just one token.
A diversified AI bet, almost.
Kind of, yeah. And it's permissionless, global, an alternative to investing in siloed centralized AI firms.
They even did some valuation comparisons, right? Against private AI companies like Mistral, OpenAI.
Yeah, they looked at Bittensor's market cap versus those huge private valuations. It was illustrative, suggesting significant potential upside for TAO's price if it reaches similar levels of adoption and perceived value. Gives you a sense of the scale they envision.
Interesting potential, though, obviously speculative. Let's zoom in on those subnets again. FS Insight gave some cool examples of the specialized work happening.
Definitely. Like SN1919 AI, it's focused on optimized AI inference, basically. Running AI models efficiently. They offer decentralized access to top open source language and image models.
And claim to be faster and cheaper than traditional options.
That's their claim, yeah. Decentralized access to powerful models. That could be big.
Could be. What else?
SN64 shoots. That's a serverless AI compute subnet. Think of it as making it easy for developers to deploy and scale AI models without managing servers.
Like AWS Lambda, but for AI, maybe?
Sort of, yeah, but decentralized. They had over 4,000 GPU nodes, adopted new models like DeepSeek V3 quickly, and we're seeing huge usage, like nearly 400 billion total tokens processed by late March 2025. Shows real activity. That's serious volume.
Then SN42 Masa Network, they're building a decentralized data network for AI.
The data side. Crucial.
Exactly. Incentivizing people to contribute data, like scraped web data or compute resources, to create structured data sets from places like Twitter or TikTok. They're even building another subnet, SN59, for AI agents to compete.
Interesting. Data and agents.
And SN41 Celium. That's a peer-to-peer marketplace for compute, specifically high-performance GPUs like H100s and A100s.
The really powerful ones.
Yeah, and they offer them at much lower hourly rates than the big cloud providers, apparently. Plus, real-time info on what's available. Cheaper, high-end compute could really democratize AI development.
Absolutely. Any others stand out?
The last one FS Insight detailed was SN8 Proprietary Trading Network, PTN, or Taoshi. This one blends decentralized AI with financial trading.
Whoa, okay, how?
Miners contribute trading signals or strategies. The report described a PTN flywheel. Competition drives better strategies, which attracts more users paying subscriptions, which fuels more rewards and better signals. A positive feedback loop for trading alpha.
Exactly. They even show data suggesting it significantly outperformed some market benchmark early in 2025. Shows the potential for really complex, high-value applications on Bittensor.
That's fascinating. So across these 82 subnets with that $1.66 billion total market cap back in March 25, you see this huge diversity of AI applications being built.
Yeah, it's not just one thing. It's inference, compute, data, trading, a whole spectrum. And the original root subnet, SNARO, was still the biggest, holding most of the market cap, which is interesting too.
Shows where the core value is still perceived, perhaps. Okay, let's pull back one last time. The Hacker Noon article touched on the philosophy behind this kind of tech. What were the main points there?
It raised some deep questions. First, linking Bittensor's decentralization to debates about power. It cited thinkers like Nick Sermatisik, warning that just because something's decentralized doesn't mean power won't still concentrate in new ways.
Right, it's not automatic utopia. You have to watch how influence actually flows.
Precisely. Second, it connected to ideas about economic and social justice. Philosophers like Mark Kokelberg see potential in blockchain for more equitable access. But the article cautioned we need to be intentional about making it equitable, not just assuming it will be.
Potential, but needs conscious effort.
Third, epistemology, how we know what we know.
All right.
How does a decentralized network like Bittensor, creating and validating information, change our concept of knowledge? It contrasts with traditional central authorities. It mentioned David Columbia's ideas about trust in algorithms being based on math, not human institutions.
Shifting trust from people to code, essentially. That's a big philosophical shift.
It is. Fourth, ontology, the nature of being, of reality.
How does Bittensor affect that?
By contributing to new forms of digital existence, digital identity, digital property, again citing Kokelberg. Think about metaverses. It's potentially shaping our understanding of what's real in an increasingly digital world.
Wow. So it's not just tech, it's potentially reshaping fundamental concepts.
That's the argument. And finally, broader social and political implications. Blockchain's potential for trust and transparency may be reducing the need for intermediaries.
The promise of disintermediation.
Right. But also the flip side. Questions about regulation, potential for misuse, illicit activity. It's powerful tech with both huge upsides and potential downsides that need careful thought.
A real double-edged sword. That philosophical view adds a lot of depth beyond just the tech and finance.
Definitely encourages critical thinking about the bigger impacts.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on Bittensor, what are the main takeaways for the learner?
Well, fundamentally, Bittensor is this really novel project merging crypto incentives with AI development. It uses that unique tokenomics, the subnets, to build a diverse, decentralized AI ecosystem.
And for someone exploring this space, it offers potential exposure to that growing AI world, right? Which is obviously a hot area.
Exactly. It's a fascinating model. But, and this is crucial,
The risks.
the risks. It's still crypto. It's still early in many ways. The volatility is real. The competition from big tech AI is intense. And the subnets need to prove long-term value and generate real revenue.
So intriguing potential, but definitely requires careful consideration and awareness of the downsides, not financial advice, of course.
Absolutely not. It's about understanding the landscape.
Okay, and a final thought to leave our listener with.
Maybe think about the long game here. What could decentralized AI networks like Bittensor mean for the future? Could they genuinely shift power dynamics in the tech world? And maybe even alter how we think about fundamental things like trust and knowledge online?
Lots to ponder. Perhaps this dive sparks curiosity to look closer at specific subnets or even those philosophical questions. The learning journey continues.